on May 20th, 1965, the American Jewish Committee presented the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King with its American Liberties Medallion. His words on that day confirmed that AJC, throughout its history, has believed that Dr. King's dream has been a dream worth sharing.
The crisis resulting from a century of denial by the white majority of the Negro Americans' basic human rights is not a Negro problem, but is a challenge calling for a moral commitment by Americans of every race and religion and of every section of the country. In this spirit, your organization, as early as 1911, when few men dared to speak out, launched a campaign in New York State to end the advertisement of discrimination in public accommodations, in recreational resorts and amusement parks.
That AJC campaign led directly to a 1913 New York state law that served as a model for many other states. In 1933, lynchings of African Americans reached record highs. The NAACP, with financial assistance from the American Jewish Committee, organized a campaign for a federal anti-lynching bill. As the civil rights movement gained momentum, AJC intensified its efforts. Through a series of powerful media vehicles, AJC brought the case for dignity directly into the homes of America. In 1945, its serialized comic strip, The Story of Labor, promoted racial and religious tolerance.
Separating one race from another.
2 years later, the AJC film Make Way for Youth, narrated by Melvin Douglas, struck at the heart of bigotry.
Just an incident?
As a new voter, you must pass a qualification test.
In 1951, the American Jewish Committee helped found the Civil Rights Film Association to produce The Challenge, shown on TV stations across the country.
That's how you tell me I can't vote.
And through the 1950s, a series of AJC cartoons, Spots Before Your Eyes, faced prejudice head-on.
But nature made each one of us so different. Mouths, noses, eyes, ears, and hair.
With these and other efforts like them, AJC and others like it continue to prick at the conscience of America. In 1947, John Slauson, executive director of AJC, testifying before President Truman's Committee on Civil Rights, said, "As important as it is for the so-called minorities that civil rights be strengthened and kept inviolate, it is even more important for the welfare of the nation as a whole." The stage was now set for something momentous. At the mid-century White House Conference on Children and Youth, renowned psychologist Dr. Kenneth Clark presented a study entitled Effects of Prejudice and Discrimination on Personality Development. This study would play a pivotal role in the most important legal decision in the history of American civil rights. It was commissioned by the American Jewish Committee. In 1954, the Supreme Court heard the case Brown versus the Board of Education of Topeka, Kansas. Thurgood Marshall argued for the plaintiffs, the NAACP, and 13 parents of African American children. Writing for the majority, Chief Justice Earl Warren cited the AJC-sponsored Clark study and said, "Segregation with the sanction of law has a tendency to retard the educational and mental development of Negro children and to deprive them of some of the benefits they would receive in a racially integrated school system. We conclude that in the field of public education, the doctrine of separate but equal has no place." The 66th Psalm of David begins, "Make a joyful noise unto God." And while much of the noise following the Supreme Court's decision was joyful, much of the noise continued to demand that law become fact. In 1958, Judge Joseph Proskauer, former president of the American Jewish Committee, urged the organization's membership to stay the course on desegregation.
In America, human equality is not merely a phrase, but a living reality.
In 1965, the march from Selma to Montgomery riveted the nation. An AJC delegation carried the banner, "Freedom is everybody's business." 5 months later, Lyndon Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act of 1965. As the civil rights debate intensified, AJC never shied away from determined and outspoken positions. In 1985, AJC Legal Director Sam Rabinoff testified before Congress, urging the government to deny tax-exempt status to racially discriminatory private schools. In 1987, AJC advocated for the Civil Rights Restoration Act. In 1991, AJC President Sholem Kome testified before the Subcommittee on Civil and Constitutional Rights regarding racial discrimination in the workplace. In the 1990s, a wave of burnings of Southern black churches shocked the nation. In response, the American Jewish Committee organized an interfaith coalition to help rebuild congregations like the Gays Hill Baptist Church in Georgia. And in 2003, the only brief supporting the University of Michigan's affirmative action programs, filed on behalf of Jewish organizations, was spearheaded by the American Jewish Committee, which wrote, "Diversity not only provides all students with a richer educational experience, but also prepares them for participation in our pluralistic democracy." Near the end of his address in 1965, Dr. King confirmed that much had been accomplished, that much remained undone, and that we would move forward together. We have heeded his words, and we will continue to do so.
And it is my fervent hope that in the long and stormy road ahead, this coalition will be strengthened. But in this great force lies the consensus of American power, capable of not only removing injustice and fear, but of establishing freedom and social peace